Is there anything that President William Ruto can do in order to quell down the influence of Rigathi Gachagua in Mount Kenya and him gaining influence across Kenya in general? That is the question I'd like us to delve in today. Welcome to Kenya Today. My name is Alvis Omondi. If you have not subscribed, please ensure you subscribe to this particular YouTube channel. To answer this question, can Ruto manage to, quell down the influence of Rigathi Gachagua? To answer this question, I will like to begin with a story. This particular story, if you studied under the 844 system and you used the new progressive English by Oxford Publishers, I believe you must have read this story. And this story is of a person who had gone to swim. A person from a village, he went to the river, he removed his clothes, put them down, dived into the water, and he was having a time of his life, enjoying his swim. And then suddenly, somebody who was mad, a madman, came by. And this madman, the whole village knew that he had lost his mind. He came to the riverside, saw the clothes, saw the man swimming, and then he took the clothes and then he put them on and began running. When the person who was swimming saw that his clothes had been taken, he decided to chase after this madman, and off they went, ran into the village, and he chased the madman, and the story goes on and on. But at the end of the story, the writer of the story asks a very powerful question. Between the madman and this person who was running after him, who was actually mad between these two? And the answer is obvious. It's not so obvious, but it is obvious. You can jog your mind to that answer. And that particular story is synonymous with what is happening between our president and his former deputy, Rigathi Gachagua. Rigathi Gachagua has gone to the swimming pool and he found Ruto's clothes and he's taken them and he's running away with them. Why do I tell you this story? Before the impeachment of Rigathi Gachagua, it was obvious to all Kenyans that Rigathi Gachagua was a person who was not fit to hold public office. Nobody liked him. Even people from his very backyard in the Mount Kenya region did not like him. His mouth was spewed words that are unprintable. Wazungu anasema unprintable. His mannerism, his threats, his fashion sense was just off. He did not have the demure and the demeanor of a leader. However, after the Gen Z protest in 2024, somebody came up with a genius idea to impeach the deputy, and off he went. But he did not just go. This guy went off with all the influence that President William Ruto had, especially in the Mount Kenya region. And he also went off with what we call sympathy. All of a sudden, everybody was looking at him with softer eyes. Everybody was handling him with a velvet glove. And all the blames shifted to President William Ruto. And from the time that Rigathi Gachagua was impeached, President William Ruto has been running after him, trying to regain the influence. Will he be able to gain that influence? If you ask me, I don't think so. Because right now, as it seems to all of us that the president is now the person who has inherited the traits of Rigathi Gachagua. He is actually the madman now. The madman has taken the clothes and is running, and the person who is sane is now seemingly the madman. This particular position is not very enviable for any politician. President William Ruto is in what we call the rock, and between the rock and the hard place is where the Englishman might say he's between the devil and the deep blue sea. He cannot move left, he cannot move right, he cannot do wrong, he cannot do right. Whatever he does is wrong. He doomed if he does, doomed if he don't. It's a conundrum, very difficult position to find yourself in. But if I were Ruto, what would I do? I wish I were not him, and I do not want to be him at this particular point in time. But the most he can do is try to galvanize, and he seems to have gotten the message, try to galvanize other regions that have influence. See, Kenya the most populated tribes are the Kikuyus, followed by the Luyas, then the Kalenjins, then the Luos. If the president is to be able to regain some support and he's able to marshal enough numbers to guarantee him a second term, the president will have to work with all other tribes except the Kikuyus. The formula here is try to isolate the Kikuyus. And you can see it is a tactic that the president and his allies have tried, and they are currently employing it. They've tried to use it and they are currently using it. Just try to put these Kikuyus aside and then galvanize the rest of the communities and hope that you are going to keep them intact so that you win the 2027 general elections. One, it is a tactic that has been used before and it has been proved to be working. Remember 2007, there was the discussion of 41 against 1, or was it 42 against 1, where all other tribes were being galvanized around Raila Odinga, and then the Kikuyus rather were being separated and left with Mwai Kibaki. And to a large extent, that formula, it worked. Because we all know, you know, and I know, we might not admit it. We may say, oh, the official numbers say different, but we know that Raila won that election. So it is a tactic that has been seen to be working. It is a tactic that can work. But the president finds himself in a position that is very different from 2007. Why? Because the people that you're trying to galvanize are moving away from this tribal cocoon. They're moving away from voting within the tribal lines. So while you are trying to unite them based on their tribal identity, they are disowning this tribal identity. If you can remember on X, or what we call Twitter now, the discussion of I am a Kikuyu, everybody assuming Kikuyu names to protect the Kikuyus against attacks that was coming from the camp of President William Ruto. So if, for example, I am Elvis Omondi, then I call myself Elvis Omondi Karaoke, and then you want to tell me that you want me to vote for you because I belong to a certain tribe and not vote for another person because he's a Kikuyu, it becomes very difficult if I don't identify with that particular tribe. So it is a very difficult position that President William Ruto finds himself in, but his only hope is if he will maintain the support that he has from the Luya kingpins, if he will maintain the support that he has from Raila Odinga, who is the Luo kingpin, if we will try and maintain the Ali Hassan Johos and all those people from the coast, and hope that that support will materialize and give him some votes come 2027. But otherwise, this madman who has taken clothes from the riverside is going to continue running, and is going to run with these clothes. And as the president continue to chase him, the perception across Kenya and the perception in our minds, my mind and your mind, the president might refute it, his allies might refute it, they might disown it, they might assume, but we all know the truth is that this person who is chasing this madman is seemingly becoming the madman himself.